make the silky nest. And there's like caterpillars, wormy things in there.
Like bagworms, I think is what they're called.
Harvest worms or something like that.
Oh, harvest your worms.
You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that are on the trees. You see the giant white ball of nest, and there's all usually a bunch of like the caterpillars in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that that's where moths came from. They turn into moths.
That's not true.
It is. I looked it up today.
That can't be
Because
true.
me and my grandma were talking about it. And we're like, what happens when they come out of like the thing? And then after that,
That can't be true.
hold on.
Where
Let me-
do moths come
Eastern,
from?
they're called tent caterpillars.
You're a tent caterpillar.
Type in tent caterpillar.
Most moth infestations come from pantry moth or clothes moths. Most common way to contact a moth infestation is by carrying infected items into your own. What is it, a fucking lockdown?
Talk about type in tent caterpillars.
Okay, we were talking about a tent caterpillar.
Yeah, that's what turns into like the certain moths. Those things.
Okay,
They
tent
make the giant-
caterpillar
Moths, yeah. See?
moth.
They turn
Let's
into
see.
moths. They turn into those ones.
Those are good ones too. Those are cool guys.
Yeah, they turn into moths.
You ever been bit by one of them?
Uh-uh. I used to always see them up at my grandma's, kind of like caterpillar away. But yeah, they're the ones that make those giant. Like if you go to images, it'll probably show you like the
Images.
tent kit. Yeah, those things. Like
Yeah,
the giant-
I know. I used
yeah.
to. My dad, we used to get them all over our apple trees, which is not good, right? So dad would just take a blowtorch out there and just fucking burn them, dude.
Yikes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even realize that they turned into moths. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
Yeah, fuck the moths.
Because, like I said, me and my grandma were talking about them because there was a bunch of them at our place and a bunch of them just chilling there. We're just like, yeah, we're just like, we always knew that they were like caterpillar. I always call them worms.
Dad always called them bagworms.
So,
I was like, all right.
and then
cool.
or I'm just like,
'Cause they were in a
I'm
bag.
like, what do they turn into? Do they turn into anything? Like, what happens? And then I looked it up, and then after they're done doing that, they like work in harmony to get food. And then after that, they all kind of just go out of the like nest.
Yeah.
They kind of turn into a caterpillar, like not a caterpillar, turn into a cocoon, yeah, and like on the ground, and then they turn into moths.
That's fucked up.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Like,
Why are they like a colony?
I don't know. They just like work in harmony. They're just like, let's go get food, boys.
That's actually kind of that's crazy.
Yeah, the more you know.
You know, this would have been a better way to cold open our alien discussion. But
I just learned it today. I'm sorry.
yeah, so maybe just be a little fucking better next time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll learn my
But
information quicker.
until then, hello everyone, and welcome to episode
Wait, are we recording now? Time.
26 of the Popcorner Podcast.
No shot. We were recording that entire time.
Shot, dude.
Oh, that's great.
With that note, today we're going to be talking about Brave Encounters, a film upon which it's a found footage movie where basically they do ghost chasing, and it's like one of those fake TV shows.
It's like
where-
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one it actually was called.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures is like the biggest one.
Yeah, I like it. Once again, my only frame of reference is Ghost Chasers from Supernatural, but this is if Sam and Dean didn't show up. So, you know, shit happens. This was a film.
Sure.
I had seen this a long time ago.
I've seen it just recent because the first time I ever watched it was with my cousins. They had me watch it.
Yeah, Draven didn't watch it until he was a grown adult because he was too afraid.
I was, yeah, totally. Not because I never heard of it before. My bad.
I understand.
There is a sequel, by the way, to this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably watch it.
I don't know if you're interested, but I mean, there's things I like more about this one, and there's more things I like about the second one. So
There's more things you like about the second one?
no, like I meant like there's certain things that I like more in the second one. There's certain things that I like more in this movie.
That's fair.
There's certain aspects of each movie I like better,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
overall general basis, let's get your thoughts. You
Yeah.
said you seen it a long time ago. What did you remember? What did you think going into this?
Yeah, basic thoughts. So I didn't really remember much, just kind of some of the shots of like the hallways, the dark, creepy stuff. And I remember as a kid it being pretty scary.
Yeah.
I think there was like definitely some room for scary stuff,
Yeah,
but like I don't know, not really
I mean,
scary.
even before we even clicked on it, since I just watched it, I was like, honestly, it wasn't really scary. It was
Yeah.
more intriguing and interesting of the atmosphere they
it
built.
was. I'm like actually it was pretty well done in that regard.
The scares could have been better though. Like I agree.
I think this movie, it falls into that trap of like, I don't know. There's a good way and a bad way to do those jump scares. And what I hated was that every time there was a jump scare, there was just some ghost, and they did that weird face distort thing
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
thing. I didn't like that. I didn't like it the first time. I didn't like it the last time. But yeah, okay. So you kind of talked about your overall thoughts. I don't know. Before we get into our movie discussion,
Okay.
not to completely sidebar that review, you stay tuned if you really want to hear about it. Internet.
Okay. Where are we
What-
going with this?
Do you have any ghost stories?
Ghost stories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in your personal
Yeah.
life, you have
Well,
ghost stories.
You may tell you the one that actually made me think, made me believe ghosts for certain.
Okay.
So I've had prior. Okay, so shout out to my mom out there. She used to be like the goth girl who like had like witch books and all that stuff and
Shout
had
out,
Ouija
Mom.
boards. Mother, yeah, I'm not gonna say her name because she'd be like, delete the video. You know what I'm saying?
Hell
She
yeah,
would never know. She
Mom.
doesn't watch these, or does she?
My mom keeps trying to.
But so like I've had experiences, I would say, prior to this event, but this event was probably, let's say, 4 years ago. I think I was starting out in college and I came home for like Christmas or something. So it was like 3 a.m. My father was at work at the time. Everyone was asleep. My mom and sisters, everyone was asleep. We have 3 dogs outside, so just to put the
Oh my God.
factual info there. But just
Them
for-
damn dogs, they probably barked at a raccoon.
It has nothing to do with the dogs. I'm just saying, putting everything in place here.
Okay.
So I'm down at 3 a.m, probably playing Overwatch on the Xbox. You know what I'm saying?
Embarrassing.
I was playing something. I was playing a game, and I was playing by myself. So no one was like in chat or anything. I was just playing something, and I hear a knocking at my window. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's 3 a.m, knocking on the window. I know it's none of my family, so I'm like, what's going on here? Am I about to get shot? So I waited, and it kept knocking. I sat there. I'm like, So I got up. Haven't I told you this story? I've definitely told Tori. I don't know if I told
I
you.
thought you told me this story, but this isn't going the way. You've told me a ghost story before, I swear to God, but it was not this.
Well, this is the one that made me fully certain. So I open up my curtains, drapes. It depends. Are you old? You call them drapes or curtains? What do we call them?
Well, I say drapes only. I mean, realistically, I'm going to say open the fucking curtains. But you got to say, does the carpet match the drapes?
There you go. Nonetheless, whatever you call them, I opened
Yeah.
them, right? And knocking obviously stopped. I'm like, okay. I didn't open the window or anything. I'm on like where my room's at. It's like level to the ground, so like my window's right where like the ground is.
Yeah.
So I just kind of looked left and right, saw nothing. I'm like, weird. Closed it. I went back, started playing the game again. As soon as I sat down, more knocking. Okay. So I was like, where do I go from here? Got up, opened it again, stopped. I actually opened up the godforsaken window this time. Like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die at this point.
Yeah.
So I opened it. Well, the dogs weren't barking either, so that's why I wasn't like super scared of an intruder. Because as soon as someone's there on our property, they're barking. And we got 3 of them, and they go crazy. So I open it. I look out. Nothing. I'm like, okay. So you think that's it? You think that seals the deal for me?
Where's your
Close it.
sisters and all this?
They're asleep.
Okay. Whatever.
But there's no one out there. You can't run around the house. I had things dead center of the house. You can't run around before I did this. Anyways, here's the part where it actually makes me think of ghost anyway, because I closed the drapes, whatever. Went back to sit down again, knocking once more. I get back up, I open it, knocking at the window, nothing there. Literally nothing. I said, no shot. I went out of my room, went upstairs to the kitchen. You see my kitchen?
You said, Mommy,
Oh,
Mommy.
no. I went to the kitchen.
Mommy, please.
I opened the fridge, got a drink. What happens next? Our door to the garage is beside the fridge. Well, it's locked every night. Just slowly opens. And I'm like, no, sir.
No.
I just went to the front room, sat down, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and watch my American Dad. That's what made me...
You know what I would have done?
What?
Okay, first off, Mom, Dad, I'm getting back into bed. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I don't even care if I'm living at my house where I'm at right now. I'm saying, Mommy, Daddy,
I'm coming
home.
I'm coming.
Can I can I come and cuddle between you guys again?
Okay, like I've had quite a few different experiences, but that's the one that fully set me into motion to fully believing, because the window, especially seeing it, like hearing it knock, but seeing nothing there.
Okay, but okay, naysayer in me. Hear me
I
out.
mean, that's fair. Go ahead.
Hear me out. Hear me out. What if it was like, okay, you said it was Christmas time.
It was around Christmas.
It's cold, so it's cold outside, right?
Oh my god.
What?
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear the.
I'm just saying. What if it was like the window settling or something, like I don't
But
know,
it
warping
sounded
or
like-
something. I don't know what you want me to say, man. I mean,
It wasn't like creak, creak, creak. Yeah.
Okay, I don't.
But then also explain the garage door.
Okay,
thing.
maybe somebody just somebody was overcome with Christmas cheer that they
Santa.
forgot to
Santa's
walk.
out here.
Do you have a chimney?
No.
Maybe Santa was getting in. Maybe he was trying to distract you from the garage door. He was sending his elves or his reindeer to knock on the door, so therefore he could get in through there. And then you almost got him when you went up there to get some milk out of the fridge with your drink.
There we go.
And that's why you had to drink Sprite instead, because he drank all your milk and cookies.
You're right.
He
Ghost
drank
aren't,
the cookies
ghosts aren't
too.
real Santa Clauses. Confirmed. He just
I'm just saying, guys.
settled it out.
I'm just saying, maybe we should, start to think about the other possibility here.
Okay, Shane. Okay, but that's my story. That's what made me fully believe. I'll save other experiences for later because I want to know, do you have any? You're not a believer, so...
I didn't say I'm not a believer.
Really? I didn't think you were.
I am...
Honestly, I kind of had the full intent of hearing you be like, nah, they aren't real. So,
No, I mean...
have you ever had an experience?
Directly... No. I have not.
Okay.
So... I still believe, actually, because it just to me, it just makes sense in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't think it's as dramatized as pretty much any movie ever makes it out to be. But I think there can be probably good spirits and bad spirits. I just don't know that there's any
Demonic,
major things that... I don't think there's a demon from hell trying to possess a young boy. Yeah, I don't think that's real. But... I don't know. I think it's interesting. One time, the door down the hallway of my parents' house, obviously I was young enough to live there at the time, it did slam shut, but in my adult life I realized there was probably just a draft.
I don't
And
know.
also, no one died there, so
What does it mean that, just because someone didn't die there doesn't mean anything?
what do you think? I picked up a possessed Bakugan at school?
What do you mean? Ghosts could just, maybe they're just chilling, passing by.
Do you?
I mean, you got to think. We live kind of like a minute away from
You probably live over like
burnt, you know where the burnt down church is? Where there's actually like a graveyard? It's like a minute away from my house.
That's pretty cool. We should go there in the middle of the night sometime.
Do you not know where it's at?
Is it?
You know that part where you have to go that sharp corner, and they have that thing blocked off on the left. If you're going down the road towards my house, where my house is on the left, if you go past my house.
So your house is on the left.
Yeah.
I've just passed it.
Yeah, and you're going straight. So you just keep going straight for a little while, but then there's that bridge.
Yeah.
A
And
little
then you
tiny
turn
bridge,
right.
and you turn it does that sharp corner to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there at that corner. There's a thing that's put up to kind of make it to where cars don't go up it. There's a burnt down church up there, and then there's a cemetery.
Why did it burn down?
Couldn't tell you. I actually don't know the lore there, but
Keep talking.
you're gonna look it
I'm
up.
gonna do some lore.
But yeah, that's honestly the only experience I'll bring up because there's a lot of them that I have that I could dive into, but that's all that really matters. That's the biggest one that got me into Foley's because other type of situations you could easily come up with something and be like, this happened, or this happened, or maybe the wind did this, like you were saying. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I think that one was kind of full certain for me that what else could it have been? Knocking. I'm looking straight at the spot where the knocking's coming from. Nothing there. What are the coincidence? I go upstairs and my my garage door just randomly opens, right? That's always locked. Come on. Really?
I mean, fair enough. I couldn't find anything, by the way. Everything else is some other town of the same
Hey.
name as yours.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's a good thing, though, because there's believers, there's non-believers. And that's every topic. There's believers and non-believers of it. It makes it interesting, but I think ghosts are a good probability.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just because this is the closest thing to an actual ghost story I have, do you believe in Jesus Christ?
Truthfully, I don't like. Are you asking if I believe that like he was a real person or like
Okay.
heaven, hell, stuff like that?
I mean, honestly, I don't. I think it kind of all goes hand in
Hand in
hand.
hand.
You know what I mean? I more specifically about the, just the figure, but like also faith. It's like, are you there?
I see
Are you
when it
not
comes
there?
to like religion and belief and stuff like that. I am,
I am
like
not, by the way.
I don't want to say I fully don't believe in it, but I don't believe in it. You know what I'm saying? I believe that there's something after life, and it could be this, but I'm not full certain set on like, yo, this figure and the way that it's structured. This is what's really gonna happen.
I don't believe in heaven, hell, Jesus Christ, any religion. I think you live, you believe things to make you act a certain way while you're alive, and then you die. I think there is nothing. But not to stay on that fact for too long, personally.
But how can you believe in ghosts if nothing happens?
Well, I think that is what remains. I don't think there's, I don't, the normal conspiracy idea is, somewhere try to pass on. Like this ghost has, unfinished business or something, right? I don't believe that there's somewhere to go, but I believe that there are aspects of the spirit that can remain even when the body passes on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like there's
So-
nowhere for us.
So
to
less
go. It's
about
just-
us to send the ghost somewhere peaceful, more about the fact that it's just still here. That's my logic of it. But anyway,
I don't know.
in high school, as you know, I ran cross country.
For a year, if that.
What?
Did you do a whole year?
Cross country?
Yeah.
I did it like 6 years.
I thought there was a sport you like did.
Track.
Track. That's it.
I did track for one season.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say.
I hated it.
I gotta say there was something you did for like 1 year, and then you were like, nah, never again.
Yeah, no, that was track, and that was freshman year. But I did cross country basically from middle school all through senior year, and there was one cross country meet where it was an invitational, meaning that it wasn't just one school versus one school; it was
Yeah, a bunch
a
of
bunch
schools.
of schools, right? So that was fine and good. Obviously, I'm out like shitting myself somewhere because I'm like running 3.1 miles and wanting to die. And that was that. And I'm out running, and the way it was a rainy day, and the way it was set up was that like the start of the race was down on one like soccer or football field, whatever it was, repurposed for the opening, because you want the first 100 meters of the race to be like a pretty straight shot, and also the last 100 meters. So it can be like a race, and that's how it is. And then everybody forms into a line. It's not so much of a long. And we would start and we would go off and do our thing, and then everybody knew, like the parents, the onlookers, whoever, they would know to go to the next field to see people finish in, 15, 20, 25 minutes, whatever. And so everybody moves up to the next field, except for, like my dad was off somewhere doing whatever, but my mom, who doesn't get around as well, she was still at the lower field, and she's like, okay, well, I want to get up to the top field. It's up an incline that was pretty steep, so she kind of goes around. She's away from everybody, so she's like, okay, well, I'm going to do it here. If I fall, I fall, whatever. And I guess she looked around one last time to make sure, there's nobody around, which there wasn't. So she's like, okay, she tries going up the hill. I guess, this is her words, and I definitely believe her. She said that she started to fall. She started to lose her balance and like slipped in the mud or whatever. And she said it was really slow, but she said, and I quote, "Oh, help me, Jesus," which she's not like a super religious woman as it is, believes more than I do. But according to her, out of nowhere, there was a bearded man
Really?
that came and helped her.
Huh.
And by the time she got herself, settled back and, situated, she looked around and he was gone. And, I know that's not a ghost thing by any means, but that is a story.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, I'd count it.
I thought that was. I think that's pretty interesting.
Like I said, when coming back to like the Jesus Christ and like the religion stuff, like
Yeah.
I'm in between. Like I'm open minded, but I'm not like a full Christian or something where I'm gonna be like, this is real, this is full, this is the way it goes, and you have to do these things to
Right.
get into this. I'm not that way. I'm just open minded to like everything, and I do think there's something after this here life that we call, but what it is, I couldn't tell you. But none of us can tell anyone. I mean, we don't know. I mean, whether you're religious and you believe that or not, you can't fully certainly tell that this is what's going to happen.
I mean, that's fair enough.
But with all that in mind,
It is 20 minutes into this, and
we've watched Grave Encounters.
we have seen Grave Encounters. That is it.
I mean,
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of already went over our basic thoughts. Overall, what is your biggest sticking point about this movie? What stood out to you the most as like a good or a bad thing?
well, for me is like there's two things I really like about this movie. One, just the atmosphere, because I really like just the
scare or the comedy aspect of it.
Oh, I love the comedy aspect of
Yeah,
it. The
it's so
comedy is
good.
fantastic. And, like, it wasn't an accidental comedy. Like,
No,
that they put that in there on purpose.
Everything in there was making fun
of, like, ghosts.
It was a good
adventures,
parody,
ghosts.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're making fun of the ghost shows that are out there. And, like,
Yeah.
you'll see, like, the main guy be like, they'll say, cut, and they'll be like, listen, I know nothing happened. Pretend something happened. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's okay.
Got any
Yeah.
petty cash?
I love the gardener.
I saw a ghost over there, and it was scary.
It was scary. He's just looking like dead. Just looking dead center at the camera. It's so good.
Yeah.
No, that's the biggest thing I really like about this is the comedy, and I do like the characters a lot.
Yeah.
Especially the main guy. The main guy and
Yeah. Lance, right? Lance is the main guy.
Lance and
TC.
TC.
And then Houston.
Yeah, Houston.
It's the-
You. Yeah, you. All I'm saying is, so you tell the story. You did it.
Okay. So we're watching this movie. It's my good friend here, my fiance, and my almost 2-year-old child.
She's the one that brought this up, by the way.
Yeah.
The 2-year-old.
My daughter's the one that brought this up. No, so we're watching this movie, and this whole time there is Houston, a character who in the movie is obviously falsified, but he is meant to be like a medium type character who can
Talk to him and
hear the voices of the dead and basically try it's fake, but the idea of a medium in a film like this. And this whole time I'm getting berated by my fiance and this lovely man right here, and they're saying stuff like, "Oh man, this guy's acting just like you. He's just like, that's you for real, and
For
all this
real.
and that." And like this guy's he's just saying stuff that makes sense. Like he goes, "Nah, man, let's just chill down here." Like instead of going looking for the guy that went missing, or like, "Oh, and
Thanks
like,
for helping, man." He goes, "No problem."
he goes, "No," he goes, "It's no cakewalk sitting down here all by myself." And like there's something else he said, and then TC, the cameraman, he goes, "Shut the fuck up, Houston." And I was like, I did actually relate to that on a personal level, because I feel like anytime I bring something up, everybody's just like, "No, you're stupid. Why are you saying that?" And
Listen,
the whole movie, I didn't see it. I have to admit, I did not see the similarities between me and this man, other than our charming good looks. And
that's true. That is fair.
and
This moment right here, though, was perfect.
there is a point in the film, and obviously if you've watched it and you're here for this discussion, where they realize that in the first night that their phones say it's like 8:30 or
8:30,
something
yeah.
like that, and they're like, and the Lance, the main guy, he's like, "Hey, I did all my research before we came here. It said that sunup was supposed to be at 7:45."
Mm-hmm.
And of course they're like, and it's still dark outside, so they're like, they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I decided to say almost immediately, I was like, wouldn't it be such a funny premise for a movie that they're all going crazy like an hour before dawn, when in reality like the clock's just reset or something?
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Like it was like a time zone thing or something like that.
Or maybe it's like fall back or spring. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm
forward.
saying.
Yeah.
And then immediately Houston goes, "Man, what if the clocks are just messed up?" And it was like the comedic timing of that moment,
So
like
perfect.
it was good. Like I have to admit, I was like, man, maybe this guy, maybe he and I are on the same wavelength.
It was,
So I'm thinking
it was pretty good.
maybe you are onto something there. But
Listen,
so when it comes to characters,
yeah,
I know at least one of them is really, really good.
I just think that all the characters did their part really well. I really like the aesthetic of them being ghost hunters, and they're on their 6th episode, and all their other
Yeah.
episodes, they never had an
They never
encounter.
had, so they don't
just-
think it's
yeah.
whether or not they set out believing it was real. By
They've
this
never-
point they don't think it's real.
Mhm.
So they're like, or at least Lance doesn't. Lance is just like, yeah.
And I love Lance just for his persona that he puts on for the camera, but then you turn
Yeah.
it off and he's just completely different.
yeah.
Like, and also I think, honestly, what would you say is the biggest negative of the movie? Because those are my 2 positives: the characters and the comedy. And I also really like the atmosphere of the location. I really do like that.
Yeah.
I do like the location of the.
I don't.
you know,
Quite frankly, I feel like when watching this movie, I think the chaos for once the night begins. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, the first part is the setup. Like, it's more comedic. Obviously, right off the bat, really fun.
Yeah.
And then, but like the first half of the
scares.
this once the night, which is multiple days by that point, but the night kicks in, it's really creepy, or at least in tone, it's
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah.
But I think it eventually devolves into the fact that there's no. I don't think there's a story to be told with I mean, there is in the sense that they allude to the doctor who presided over the place, who did the lobotomies and the experimental science, and he kind of stumbles upon that at the very end. But that was hardly relevant to the plot of the movie, and I don't think there was really a plot to tell other than survival.
It wasn't
and even
really.
then,
Yeah,
it made it feel like it dragged out.
The plot was just these guys are coming in here to record a show. They don't think things are real.
Right.
Things happen to be real, and then they all die.
It feels more like it should have been a short film.
Like an hour.
Well, because if the plot is them and their survival, this movie went on way too long. If there was more to tell with the story of the evil presence here, which there wasn't,
Well,
I don't think,
yeah.
then I think it would have justified the runtime. But I think because the story lacks, the pacing also
But
doesn't help either.
I know we're talking about the first one here. I don't know if you've seen the second one, but the second one does.
I don't think so.
The second one does dive more later.
Is
more,
it the same location?
Yes, but they dive more into the lore of the universe because. I already told you this, but this Grave Encounters movie turns into a movie in the universe for them.
So they pull a Scream.
Yeah. So in the second Grave Encounters, this Grave Encounters movie is a movie for them, but everyone thinks it's fake or scripted.
Right.
Or,
So
you know,
they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go."
yeah, we're gonna go and see because the main character in the second one thinks it's real, but everyone else thinks he's just bat crazy.
Right.
So and then they all go and then whatever happens.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that the second one does have a lot more plot involved stuff because you are talking about Lance a little bit. Lance is a little bit more involved with the plot,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, because you already know Lance is alive.
Right.
I already kind of told him that.
I mean, I already
But
kind of knew.
yeah, he kind of guessed. That's why. Oh
Sorry about that.
no! Ghostly encounters.
Yeah. What the hell? What the fuck is going on?
I'm sorry, Ghost.
If there's anybody in the room with us, move something right now.
So anyway,
Oh my god. Okay.
that was
sorry.
actually kind of weird. But
What that?
yeah, it's just what?
It was
Did you
my
kick
foot.
it? Did you kick it? Yeah.
I caught it.
I was like, what?
I didn't mean to. I don't.
I'm gonna say Ghostly Encounter, but the second one does go more focused on that because Lance is involved and it involves with the ghost a little bit, and you also kind of find a little bit more. I wouldn't say the lore of the hospital place, but I don't know. There's a lot more going on in the second one. That's all I'm gonna say than the first one where it was just survival.
Gotcha.
The second one does have survival in it, but there's a little bit more stuff going forward. There's a door.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that there's a door. There's a reason for the door. Stuff's going on. It's not more just. There is a lot more of them running in and then stuff changing. You learn more about why stuff changes Like, you know how like the building changes and adapts to where they're going.
Yeah.
You learn a little bit about that. I don't want to like spoil anything and tell you what's going on, but there are stuff that isn't just running up the stairs, running down the stairs. Things
Right.
change, then eventually they all die.
I gotta ask, have you ever seen As Above, So Below?
Heard of it? Never seen it.
It's also found footage style
Mm-hmm.
like this, but in that one they're in the catacombs of Paris.
That sounds kind of neat.
Yeah, they're down under.
Yeah, that sounds neat.
Yeah, I remember liking that one. I saw it not in theaters, but I saw it around when it came out, probably within the year, and I remember enjoying that one. So I think we should watch that one at some point.
Yeah, that sounds neat.
That one would be a good one to do.
But yeah, I kind of agree that like this one there wasn't really a whole lot of like plot going on other than them trying to
Yeah.
live, and I didn't mind it, but I do see where you stand, where like you want a little
Yeah.
bit more oomph for the runtime.
Yeah,
I get it. My biggest negative on this thing is I wish that like I don't mind it. It was fine for what it was. I just wish you already kind of mentioned on it, but I wish the ghost stuff was a little bit more scarier.
I think they could have done it with less visual, which I know for a lot of the movie they didn't have visual.
Yeah.
But like, I wish if that's what they wanted to do with the ghost, they wouldn't have. I wish it would have been invisible the whole time. I don't even care. But with that being said, the one scene that did kind of get me a little bit was when Lance is like, "All right, I'm gonna go take care of this thing," and then immediately the
guy comes
the guy
running in.
runs. That kind of got me a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, but once again, it had to show just close enough to where the face was doing the thing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that effect either, really. I didn't mind the effect, and I didn't mind like the CGI stuff that they used, but at
There
the end of the
wasn't-
day, it could have been better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
I mean, hell, there wasn't really much of it.
no,
So
they definitely kept you in the dark of what was going on for most of it.
Right, and like that's where it's like, man, there wasn't that much, so you could have at least made the few scenes where they used it really good.
All I'm gonna say is like my favorite parts of this movie is like the part where they try to escape by breaking down the front door, and then you open it and it's just a hallway again.
Another door.
That part was cool. I really like the concept of like it being able to alter and change. I like the fact that it's still nighttime and the days pass and like nothing changes for them. Like and like, except like the food all rots.
Yeah,
You know, like that stuff is really cool detail, and I like that a lot. And I love how like the characters banter against each other. Like once they're in serious, shit going on, you
Yeah.
know, Lance is still recording, but then like TC's over here, like, why are you still recording, dude? Like, put it down, like, help me or let's get out of
Right,
here.
right.
You know, I like the banter between the characters once stuff really gets heated, and yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit actually. I don't know if I like this one or the second one more, to be honest with you. We'll have to see if we watch
I don't
the second
remember
one.
seeing the second one at all, so I'm really curious to see that.
There's just certain moments that I like in the second one a lot, but then I'll just put it this way. This movie, I like the characters more.
Does the sequel feature a room where they're all chanting?
No. Not that I can remember, no.
Maybe that's something else.
But the first one, I like the atmosphere of Ghost Hunters, like, and just that whole aesthetic there, I like.
Mm-hmm.
The second one's just like little college kids who want to like make horror movies.
I love college kids.
That's all. I like the characters in the first one more. But,
That's fair.
But the second one, there is a death in there that I'm like, dear Lord. There is something that was... The deaths in the second one are so much better than this movie. So,
Actually, one thing I wanted to bring up earlier on, but I think it's a good thing to bring up here. So, I feel like a big aspect of this movie that probably would turn a lot of people off is the found footage style.
I like it. I like it.
Do you like? Have you ever had an instance where you didn't like it?
I don't know. There's certain techniques where, like in this movie specifically, TC, he gets taken into the tub, right?
Yeah.
You see the camera fall. I like that concept that it falls over.
Yeah.
But then that whole time where they're struggling trying to get him out or pour the tub over, you don't get to see any of that.
Yeah.
And like I understand the usage of that, but I wish we could have like switched to like maybe Lance's camera or something
Right.
to where we would have saw. Like there's
you-
certain moments where I'm like, yo, let me see what's going on, and then you don't see it, you know?
I think, once again, I want to tease the best movie of all time here for a minute. Aliens.
There it is.
I don't want to say there's a found footage style, but all of the Marines are equipped with a body camera.
Oh, so that goes to their point of
You
view.
you're kind of from the point of view of the commander who is not in with them.
Ah, I see. So you see through the
Yes.
camera. I see.
Dude. You're gonna I'm telling you, man, I'm getting goosebumps right now. That movie's so fucking good.
But I like found footage.
Listen.
I would not want every movie to be that way.
One example I can think of where I didn't like it. Have you ever seen Cloverfield?
No.
Cloverfield? I didn't like that. It was too I saw that movie when I was Cloverfield.
When I was
Cloverfield. 2008. So I was either 7 or 8 at the time. I went in theaters. I saw that movie. At that point in time, I'd only been to the theaters. I'd probably only been going to movie theaters for like 2, maybe 3 years at that point.
Okay.
Because I remember distinctly the first time I went to the movies, I was 5 years old. How old were you?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh my god.
I don't remember that.
What a fucking loser.
What are you, crazy?
Yeah, I was 5, and I remember I was too loud.
Some things never change.
I'm not loud. You're
Oh,
not
yeah?
you're not loud.
Oh yeah, I'm not loud.
You're loud.
Yeah, I know.
My nephew went to his first movie. He was 4.
Hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck are kids doing these days? You know what I mean?
Has Lyd been to hers yet?
I mean, she's seen more horror movies than I've seen in my whole life. I feel.
I hope when she gets older, she's just like into horror movies. As soon as she like turns like,
I'm not even trying to like scar her, but I legitimately hope so. I really do.
yeah.
Because like when I was a kid, I still have like the weirdest like memory scars of like stuff that's not even horror movies. Like just scared the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one movie, I don't even remember what it's called now, but the trees scared the shit out of me in it.
I mean, as a kid, my favorite genre is horror.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, oh no, I would have never seen me like in this genre, dude. I was scared of everything.
Hell no.
I was terrified. Storms, darkness, horror movies. Like, my mom used to do the grudge noise all the time around
What is the
me.
grudge noise?
You know what it is.
No, I don't.
They're like, you've never seen The Grudge?
I have.
What?
Grudge is the TV girl, right?
No.
No, that's the Ring.
Ring.
Sorry, what's the Grudge?
When it's like, I can't even do it. You've never seen
I've
it?
never seen the Grudge.
Really?
I don't think it's still long hair girl, right?
It's not the Ring Girl.
Oh wait, they made a new one, right?
Yeah, they made it.
I've seen that.
But,
I've seen that one.
yeah, my mom used to do that all the time, and I used to be so terrified of it. But
I
look
would
at
be.
me now. I love it.
Yeah, he turned out great. Look at him.
Yeah, fantastic. Look at me.
Yeah. So a little bit more. I feel like we do need to talk more about this movie.
We have backtracked and front tracked a lot.
It's a good way to get people in, and then we can just go from there. You're getting more of us. I think that is something, honestly.
Yeah, we need to balance both a lot better. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times we just do reviews, and then a lot of times we'll just do this a lot and just cannot talk about the movie.
But I prefer this more.
I mean, I prefer, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I like
'cause-
talking about our personal stuff, but I do want to get a better balance with
Yeah.
like both.
So,
Grave Encounters,
yeah, Grave Encounters. That's a film.
What do you think of the deaths? Because like I said, the second movie had better deaths in my opinion, but what did you think of the deaths?
I mean, there wasn't like hardly any. I mean, if you really,
A few.
if you really think about it, the one guy got thrown. Maybe got snapped or something happened to him. The girl just disappeared.
Yeah.
The guy got, granted, pulled into a pool of blood and then
But then
just
he
disappeared.
disappeared.
So it
So-
wasn't gruesome, but it was cool. I will say that.
that was my favorite death in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, he jumps out of an elevator.
Yeah, I guess. I loved his little selfie cam he had going on. That was cool. I don't know. So deaths were okay.
The saddest death was the mouse.
R.I.P. How they even did that without ASPCA coming up in there.
Sorry.
Or PETA, I should say.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
PETA. PETA Griffin.
Why?
I don't even know anymore.
I did like the ending though, with it kind of like circling back to
To the
main doctor
Yeah.
who did the
That was
lobotomies
cool.
and stuff. And then you see at the end that he gets one. Like, he actually gets the lobotomy.
Do you think this movie inspired Outlast?
When Outlast come out.
2013.
Maybe. This was like a 2011 movie.
Here's my thought. It's not exact. Obviously, premise nowhere near the same. However, you've got the Insane Asylum.
Mhm.
Both films have them. While one is more active and less about ghosts, there is still
There is still a
ghostly
presence.
stuff
Yeah.
in both. But both both projects feature like a mad scientist type evil doctor. Not Outlast is better, but I think that those two, they kind of feel very similar outside of the comedy of Grave Encounters, which I do really enjoy. It stands out a lot.
I liked it. I mean, if they would have went for a full serious movie, I think it would have been really bad.
Yeah.
Because the parts where it did get serious, it fit, and it was done really well. But the comedy is what really kept it on the toes of being an interesting and entertaining movie.
That's fair.
Without the like comedy of the actors and characters, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much.
Okay.
To be real honest with you, I just, like I said, I know you haven't seen the second one yet. I just can't tell which one I like better. There's certain things, like the biggest parts I like about this movie more is, again, the characters, the ghost hunter vibe for the story, like them being ghost hunters and going into this place.
Yeah.
The atmosphere of the place, going there for the first time, is more if you want to say creepy, but it's, they go back to it. You know what to expect.
Right.
The first one is your first time going in there, like what's going on. And I really like the vibe of like the things changing for the first time, like the rooms, and seeing doorways turned into hallways. And my favorite one is the exit door. They like break through it, and there's another one. And TC just goes, "What does that fucking say?" Like that stuff's cool, and like it's in the second one too, a lot of it. But the thing is like the first experience is really interesting, but the second one, there are things I like more. But the first one, these are the specifics that I like a lot about it, and the comedy. The second one has it too. I think the first one is more my style of humor. The second one they're college kids, so you know what to you're already knowing what to expect. But the first one I think was more funnier with the comedy over the second one being more like fart D jokes, sex jokes. There's a lot of that in there.
Well, with you saying that, there's two things you said there that I really want to push off of.
Go for it.
So, first off, and I think this will be the quicker thing. I think, with like the look at the exit and all this stuff, the visual callbacks in this movie are really actually pretty good. Like when they're first walking into the place and it says, what is it? Death awaits.
Death awaits. Yeah, death awaits.
And then they open the doors, and of course it's there.
Well, when they open the doors, they're like, "Is this really the place we came in?" And then, like, when they all start walking past, the girl is just like, "Guys," and then like you see her like close it a little bit, and then it shows the death awaits to confirm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got like obviously the window. That's a big point of inflection.
I mean, the bath tub.
The bath. Like these points, like it grounds. And I said this with Alien, actually, in a few ways, where they go from level to level, and it shows it as they do it. In this, it kind of grounds them. It's not just like, oh, it's a new room every time.
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
they come back to the same
They're
rooms.
circling around. They're doing this stuff and that. And it feels really nice to watch it that way, because it feels like they're kind of, looping it up a little, going a little crazy. And I think that helps the kind of tone of the movie, especially as they devolve into madness towards the end.
Yeah.
And I think that works really well.
I really like, before we get to your second point, I was also going to bounce off that and say that I really do like the characters' progression, where they turn slightly more insane as things happen. I think that the actors did really well at like portraying them getting crazier and crazier, especially our main character, like Lance.
Yeah.
Like at the end, like he's just straight insane at that point when he's down in like the underground section.
Yeah. No, I agree. But the other thing I wanted to like go off of is, what is with, and like I just want your opinion on this. We don't have to like go full in depth on this for right now, but like, what is with the horror genre and comedy? Like, do you feel they're intrinsically linked?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I mean, what I like.
Well, then you get a movie like The Conjuring that's
super serious.
That's super serious, but also really good. Because my thought is that
Well, it's
a lot of movies leverage the comedy to juxtapose the fear.
yeah,
And like they do it in such a way that it's like, oh, you can feel these really high highs just to have these terrifying lows.
yeah.
And that works sometimes.
It does work. I think it works.
But
a
then
lot.
there's movies like The Conjuring where it's just like,
straight fear.
this is
like,
evil.
straight scary.
This
yeah.
is evil. This is like, and like
It's
I have to say, like The Conjuring, that like I'd have to rewatch it, but I remember that being one of my
listen,
favorites.
the first Sinister movie is one of my favorite, like full circle, just scary focus movie.
I love Ethan Hawke.
And same.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But
He's so cool. I love him.
the thing is I think
I love his
that
daughter.
it's what?
You seen Maya?
I don't think I know what she looks like.
She's in Stranger Things.
Really?
She's not one of the young kids. Not that they're young now. I mean, that's technically like fine to say, regardless.
Okay. Well,
Hell yeah, Will Byers, come here.
one of my things is like I do really like the fully focused scary stuff, but I think that those type of movies fall flat more than the comedy mixed with the fear of the scary stuff. Because think about it, if you're watching a movie that's solely trying to bank off the horror factors of things and scary stuff, if they don't do it right,
Yeah.
then they just have a terrible movie.
Right.
You know, you can watch a scary movie.
Like
that's,
there's no redeeming.
yeah, there's no
qualities to
redeeming.
it.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you watch a movie that has comedy and horror blend, and the horror doesn't really work out very well,
Yeah.
at least they still have the comedy to keep you intrigued and think the movie
Right.
was okay. But I think it works really well. But the problem with having comedy in it is maybe someone goes overboard with the comedic effect, and then things that come out to be scary aren't scary anymore. I think both is a double-edged sword, but
Yeah.
I will embrace both styles because I like a lot of movies that are the blend, and I like a lot of movies that are solely focused on
Right.
horror.
I have to say, this movie does. Grave Encounters does a good job of. It's not a situation like Scream where there's like funny moments throughout, and then like also the scary or like tense moments in between them. It's not like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
it's rather this movie starts out like, kind of chipper, kind of good, and then we obviously know what's going to happen. But then when it does, it's like a slight devolution, and then it becomes like the humor goes from the characters actually making the jokes
To them
into
just
them
being-
being kind of funny in the scenario to then it just being like, oh, they're dead.
Well,
Like, that's-
I think this movie does a really good job at making the characters feel a little bit believable. Like the comedy comes from their
yeah,
like
Houston was pretty believable.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not saying all of it was believable, but what I'm saying is that I think that the conversations between the characters during the situations is what brings the humor there. It's not really a setup of jokes or that type of stuff. It's more so just like, oh, this ghost is chasing me, and then TC over here is saying some stupid thing like,
Yeah,
off. Like,
Yeah.
It's not just a setup of a joke and then joke happens. It's more so just the conversations between the characters.
Right.
I think that's where the comedy comes from here,
Okay.
rather than setup of jokes. But
Fair enough.
Besides the first beginning of the movie where they're obviously setting up stuff to be funny,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, fair enough. Do we want to hop into our final verdict?
I think we should.
Okay. I'll let you go first.
Me first?
Yeah.
Grave Encounters, welcome back. I literally just watched you probably 2 weeks ago with my cousins. First time experience watching it 2 weeks ago. I enjoyed
loved it.
I actually did love it. Watching it again, I still like it a lot. There with digging deeper in here and
What the fuck?
with digging deeper in here and also remembering the second movie. I'm still at a toss-up. I think I'll fully confirm which one I like more after we watch the second one together.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, as I said, had a lot of strong stuff in it that I like, especially the aesthetic of our characters and like the whole ghost adventure knockoff thing. I like that a lot. I love the parody of them.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, when they're in the building and they're getting ready to start off and they do their poses.
Yeah.
And they're all just like sitting there, just like, yeah, we are Grave
That was so funny.
Encounters.
That was so funny.
It's so good. And
Trying to place in my head the number that you're going to give this movie out of 10.
you think so?
Maybe. I think I know what it's going to be. I have it narrowed down.
Okay.
I'm within a 0.5.
0.5, yeah.
Within a 0.5 range, yeah.
But this movie, I like the characters a lot, especially Lance and TC. Those two are my favorites, and they really made the movie flow really well, especially the characters in general, just back and forth between each other. I think the negative part of this movie is technically the physical scares. I
Okay.
think the usage of the people and humans was cool. I agree with you though that I'm not a huge fan of the distortion. I think it would have been simply just as scary, if not more, if it was literally just a normal face.
If it was a normal face with maybe a little bit of like makeup to
Yeah.
make it look, make them look
Well,
ill.
when
or,
the
like,
girl
putrid.
turned around, she already looked creepy enough.
I thought
and
she
then-
looked. I thought she looked scarier.
Yeah, and then
they
it
did
did
that. I
that.
was just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree there. I think that just using normal people with makeup or special, not special, like all that type of stuff and costumes.
Right.
That part would have been awesome. The hands were a little goofy. I like the idea. I just think they looked a little goofy for the time. But it was a 2011 film. That was kind of the era of films, horror movies, where they were bad, like all the time. 2010, yeah, 2010 era of horror movies was the terrible era of that genre. So with this coming out of that era, I think this movie is a really good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty
And-
good. I mean, it got a sequel.
Yeah, and the found footage aspect of it, I like. I don't think I would have wanted to see a normally shot version of this. I mean, maybe they could have done it, but the second one also follows the found footage style, and I like that style. So
That's fair.
I think all in all, this movie, I enjoyed it for a second time, really recent. I don't know what you're thinking or what you're going to give it, honestly, until I start hearing your final verdict here.
Well-
I am going to give it
Okay.
7.5.
I had it. I nailed it.
Is that what you thought? 7.5?
It is actually.
7.5. There's a lot of things I like about it, but the few things that drawed it back again was just the overusage of the facial effect of the physical beings, and honestly, that's the biggest thing. I think the deaths could have been a little better, but the second one improves on the deaths, I promise. So
That's right.
here we are.
Fair enough. My thoughts are my thoughts.
Thoughts are my thoughts
On this film.
I love that. I love it's a returning thing.
Like the
for you.
only returning bit I have.
What did you
had
even
so
do that
far.
on? Which one did you do that on? Was it Texas? Or Babysitter? It was Babysitter.
I don't remember.
It was
It's been in the
Babysitter.
last like five. I don't know.
It was Babysitter. Babysitter was when you said that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I don't know how I feel. I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, I really like a lot of aspects of it, but then there's like, the story just kind of falters in the last third, and then like the pacing suffers because of that too. The overuse of the face effects, but then also the other effects, when used, kind of stand out just a little bit, but for the most part, that's fine. I think the found footage stuff works for me overall. I think for the most part, like cinematography speaking, like the way the movie's actually shot, I think it was directed pretty well. I think the way they did it was nice. I think the only time I really didn't like it was like when they were being chased. It was just like so disorienting.
Yeah.
But that's just standard for these movies.
Yeah,
But that's
it's just-
regardless. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah.
So
Criticism where criticisms do.
if anything, I would have preferred it be they were running down the hallways where they had one of the other cameras set up.
Yeah, so you could see it being
Maybe they could be
and see
running
them.
towards the camera and then something behind
Behind
them.
them.
Or even maybe you don't see what's behind them. That's fine. I don't care because we didn't see it during the chase anyway. But stuff like that, I think that adds up. For me, really, the big thing is like the lacking in the story and then the pacing. That's really what brings it down for me. And if this movie was scarier, I think it would have been fine. But really, it was just it gave you that tense and eerie atmosphere. But
Yeah,
like I
but-
said, as it drags on, it goes away. What's a horror movie supposed to be? It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be tense. It's not scary.
The
It is tense,
atmosphere.
but the tension drops away eventually.
The atmosphere specifically is what I really like about the
I agree.
That's
no,
the
I,
best part.
I agree. And
as far as horror
but-
goes.
but unfortunately, it just only carries it so far for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's fair.
I think this is probably a 6.5.
You went a 0.5 higher than me. I thought you were going to give it a 6. So
You think?
7.5 and a 6.5.
Yeah.
That
So-
sounds about our reviews. Usually
Yeah,
they're
usually, I mean-
like one point up and down.
Yeah, so that's about accurate, and I've had that pretty much figured out since the beginning. So me hearing yours, regardless of
Before we end it though,
okay,
with what I've said about the second one, you think you're going to like it more? Not like it more?
I don't know. I would have to see how it plays out
Okay.
because I know what I like about this movie, and I want to see how well it carries over
Carries over.
into the next one. So yeah, we'll see. But
I want to say the second one had a bigger budget as far as like the horror.
I mean, usually with a sequel, I don't know, because horror movies are different. Because it's like, maybe we can do it again.
But without,
Different characters, lower budget.
Yeah. I don't know. I
but
want to
with the
say
same idea.
I want to
make
say
it
I
work.
remember the second one having like better looking physical beings and stuff like that.
Right.
But like I said, I like the comedy in this one more. The comedy in the second one's fine and still funny, but there's a lot of like and especially in the beginning, there's like they're at like frat parties and stuff and all that, and I'm just like, eh.
Right.
But after that, really good. But the setup of the first one, I didn't really care for. But
I respect that.
I don't know. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So tune in next week to find that out. And until then, consider subscribing.
Till
to
then,
my channel, his channel,
Well,
your own channel.
until then, we are. You gotta say your channel. Yeah, we are.
We are
Falling
Graven
Falling
Counters.
Hurts. Graven Count.
Falling Hurts.
Woo!
You